Alrighty, hey everyone, welcome back. I see the usual tribe is here of soon-to-be millionaires is in the chat, so welcome to all you guys, Sour, Roger, Neil, Tej, and everybody else that's in here. So today was a good day, right? Miners were up nicely today. Bitcoin was up also. We have a bunch of news stories on IREN actually, but not really news stories, but just analyst upgrades on them for price targets. We'll talk about those. We'll talk about also Hive here getting to 20 exahash, so that's awesome news as well for them. What else do we have here? We'll take a look at the miners. How have they performed on different time frames? We haven't done this in a couple of weeks, so we'll take a look at that. I'm still waiting on the data for the short interest on these guys to come in. It should be coming in, I'm hoping within like the next couple of days. We'll see when that comes in. Other than that, that should be it. Then we'll get into Q&A here. So thank you so much for coming in as always, but you guys know the drill. Not financial advice for time only. Do your own research. Full disclosure below that. Hit the like button, subscribe. Helps me out tremendously. And one thing you might probably notice is over there, that wall there, right? The construction, the paneling for the insulation is going up. Eventually, that will go all the way across there. So things are going to be changing here in the studio while I try to build out my basement here over time. So bear with me, be patient. I know the sound quality is probably not the greatest right now, but let's get into what's going on here with the miners and everything else, Bitcoin, and we'll get through it all. So Bitcoin today was up nicely. It was up approximately 1.19%. We kind of went over the 100 simple moving average line, which is right there. We got above it, but then we actually closed below it here. So we're battling with that line right now. We'll see if we can get above it. We battled with it before here in the past as well. We got above it, and then we came back down here. So we'll see if we can get back above this line and above the 50 simple moving average line as well. And that will be really good for us here. Ethereum, markets were down for the most part today. Ethereum was actually down today, surprisingly. Enough, it was down just a little bit, 0.27. It's down in the new day as well right now. Miners, on the other hand, had a really good day. Bitfarms was up 7.14% today after having quite a big drop yesterday of 15%. So it's kind of, I would say, gained half of it back. Not all of it there, but at least it bounced back up here. BitDeer was up 5.73% after it had a pretty rough day yesterday as well, being down 7%. Kang was down again here today, down another 1.13%. Cypher was up, down a little bit, just 0.07 after being up to a new high here for it, 1554 on it. And then it came back down, which was surprising there. It held up in the green for most of the day, but then towards the end, it just kind of fell apart there. I'm guessing profit taking happened here. We've had a nice run up on that one. Cleanspark was up nicely as well, 3.88% on that one. It was up much higher also today. So we'll see where that one goes tomorrow. CORZ was up just a little bit, 0.06%. Hive was up 8.58% today on the news that it got to 20. I think that helped it out. Hut 8 was up 6.89%. IREN was up at one point, 15%, 16%, and it actually closed at 12.86%, being on the upside here. This thing continues to rocket. In the after hours, it actually reached $50 right now, so it's going to continue to go up here, I believe. Mara was down a little bit, 0.4%. Riot was up 5.39% on the day after being up much higher. I mean, this thing had a really good day as well. It reached $20.13, and then he pulled back down. Wolf was up a little bit, 1.42% on that one. Bitcoin holding companies, MicroStrategy was down 1.36%. Galaxy was up 3.9%. Block was down 0.07%. Coin was up 0.53%. MetaPlanet was down another 4.28%. Exodus was up 12.08%. That one had a good day. This is Nexon. Nexon was up 0.71%. Semler was down 3.18%. Phoenix was down 4.38%. Game was down 2.05%. Are those guys rotating into some of the miners? Maybe. I mean, we'll see. The small miners, how did they do for the most part? We had most of them were in the green here. Annie was up just a little bit, 0.91%. Argo was down 5%. DigiPower was up 1.24%. DMG was up nice, 8.91% after having a pretty bad day yesterday. Mawson was up just another 0.15%. And Canon actually had a really good day today, being up 19.83%. Not sure if anything happened there with that one, if there was any release on news. No, there wasn't. The ETFs had another great day today. BitQ being up 1.53%, BKCH being up 3.31%, DAP being up 1.29%, and WGMI being up 4.9%. This thing just continues to rocket as well, following obviously the footsteps of IREN and others that are rocketing right now, so that one's doing really well. ABTC was up just a little bit, 0.72%. Wi-Fi was actually down a day, 6.48%. Open rebounded today, being up 16.08%. Oracle was down 1.71%. Nibius was up 5.04%. And Soluna today beat everybody out. It was up 47.68%. In the after hours or pre-market hours, it looked like it was going down. And you can see where it started out here. It was definitely down on the beginning, but then it just rocketed back up here. I wonder if there's any news on this one. This was just yesterday. Soluna files prospectus for 87.7 million shares offering. Okay. So things are happening there for that one as well. As far as the miners here in the after hours right now, let's see where they are stacking right now. We got Bitdeer being down just a little bit, 0.11%. Bitfarms right now is actually up just a little bit as well, 0.54%. Cypher is up 0.42%. Cleanspark is up, let's see, where is it at now? 0.97%. CORZ Scientific is up 0.76%. Hive is up nicely, 3.7% on the after hours. Hut 8 is up a little bit here, 1.22%. IREN is up another, let's see, where does this one end up at? Man, there's a lot of trading going on in this one after hours right now. It is battling with that $50 mark. It's up 5.88% here, still after hours. Mara is up, let's see, 0.91%, and Riot is up 0.78%. TeraWolf is now down 0.35%, and Soluna Holdings after hours is down 4.28% as it is. I know. All right, Bitcoin for the quarter here, Q3 is still up 5.63%. Not huge, but not bad. September, we're only up 4.48%. A couple more days left to go. We'll see where we end up at. Bitcoin ETF inflows here. Let's see where we end up at right now for the day. Let's see if we had so we've had 2 straight days of outflows. Today looks like we have a day of inflows. We'll see where we go tomorrow on that one as well. Fed watch as far as rate cuts here happening later on in October. It's being priced in right now at 90, well, you can say 92% more or less. So that's pretty good. We're going to get another quarter basis point cut there. And then let's get into some of the stories that we have here on IREN. There's quite a few of them as far as analyst price targets for them. We got Roth KMK raises IREN. Why do they call it still Iris Energy? IREN price target to $82. This is the highest that I've seen out of all of them. We've had a total now of 4 price increases on them. From 35 on AI cloud growth here, right? So this is great news here. We got another one here. Bernstein analysts raised their price target on IREN to $75 from $20. So this is great as the miner doubles down on building its own AI cloud business rather than relying on co-location deals with partners like CoreWeave. So analysts are, looking favorably on this action from IREN as far as going at it alone, it looks like. So this is all good news. And then we got this from France, RTP price target upgrade to $78. So obviously there's a lot happening here. So roughly about $80 more or less for them going forward here. They're at $50 right now, roughly. We still have about $30 more to go. Now, if they announce also that they're, doubling their GPUs from 23,000 GPUs to 46,000 or 50,000 GPUs here, if we get an update like that from them in the next couple of weeks, maybe a month or so, that's going to obviously reprice the stock at that point as well, I think, right at that point. So I think there's a lot more upside here, even beyond the $78. And remember when I was talking about IREN getting to like $60, $80, this was probably about a year and a half ago or something like that, that it had the potential to do there, but that was mostly on Bitcoin, going up to 150,000, 200,000, whatever it might be. But now it's getting repriced on just their GPUs and their own AI cloud that they're building out there. So in a weird way, my analyst, my pricing on them might actually come out to be true. So we'll see. Another one. All right. Other news story that we do have here. I thought this was very interesting here. This is from Microsoft. They developed actually microfluidics. So AI chips are getting hotter. A microfluidics breakthrough goes straight to the silicon to cool up to 3 times better. And you can see this is a chip underneath here, and they got like these little channels for where the liquid could flow in the actual silicon itself. It's quite impressive what they've been able to do. Here's a close-up image of it as well, as you can see here. So this could be really, really good because, well, one, you're able to run these things maybe even at a faster clock speed as well. And you can still keep them cool here, so overclocking these things would not be an issue. But this is definitely an interesting article. Definitely recommend you guys reading this. The other portion of this, they're talking about doing 3D, basically 3D chips that you could stack a chip on top of a chip on top of a chip, more or less, and have cooling in between those, where you could have basically on one chip 3 chips combined, more or less. So You save space on basically on server rack space, right? If you could do that internally within a single rack mount. And then also, if you could do this for the GPUs, which I don't see why you couldn't, you could also do this, or they might be even doing this for the GPUs side of things. But if you do this for the GPUs as well, that's also going to be interesting because then you could have like basically 3 GPUs in one, right? So you're bringing down the density and you're also bringing down the efficiency of those things, which is really interesting. But something to definitely keep an eye on. This is definitely going to help out in the data center space, and this is the way it would be connected here with tubes of liquid, cool and hot, going through those things. It's similar to what we have seen in the past with people trying to use like liquid nitrogen on the chips to overclock them to like. I remember at one point I think somebody was overclocking chips to like what was it? 7. It wasn't exahash. It was 7 gigahertz. I think it was, or something like that. Remember that? 10 gigahertz clock speed. I think it's gigahertz at this point. It's been a while since I've built a CPU and an actual computer. But yeah, there's a video for it as well. But it's really cool. This is definitely going to change the landscape, I think, going forward, and the way the chips are designed and the way that possibly data centers are designed a little bit as well. All right, finally, on the last story that we do have here is going to be on Hive Digital. So Hive Digital Technologies reaches 2% of global Bitcoin network, mining 9 BTC daily and surpassing 20 exahash, which is freaking fantastic news for them here. Happy to see that they are doing really well as far as build out is concerned and building out on time too. But today they announced it has exceeded 20 exahash per second of global Bitcoin mining capacity following the continued successful deployment of ASICs at its Phase 3 Venezuela facility in Paraguay. With a year-to-date hash rate increase of approximately 233%, Hive is now mining 9 Bitcoin per day at a global fleet efficiency of 18 joules per terahash, achieving a mining margin of 55% after electricity costs. This represents approximately 2% Bitcoin network hash rate, based on the current difficulty of 142 trillion, with all figures publicly verifiable through Bitcoin block explorers, which is great, right? Joules per terahash definitely has improved for them because they were on the high side just about a year ago. So that is a nice improvement there, very, very nice improvement actually. And I'm happy to see that they are being able to do that. Let's see, with Phase 3 construction now substantially complete and installation is progressing ahead of schedule, Hive achieves the 19 exahash target with the latest additions, bringing Hive's global fleet to 20 exahash, marking a key milestone of the company's roadmap toward its target 25 exahash by U.S. Thanksgiving here. So, I mean, we basically have 2 months left to go. We got October and November to go. So they need to install roughly 2.5 megabytes. I'm getting my data stuff mixed up. 2.5 exahash installed per month here, which is doable. I think that's definitely doable for them. And it's going to be awesome to see them getting to 25 exahash here by the end of the year. You can see obviously the site here with the cooling system set up for the miners. Direct-to-chip cooling looks like on it. So really cool. All right, that is it. That's all I got for you guys here. Lastly, we're going to just take a look at the miners here. How have they performed here in different time frames, depending when you got into them. At certain times, you might be in a much better situation than at other times, depending when you got in. Like I said, obviously, if you got in when these guys kind of peaked in 2024, you're probably just getting back to where you were, or still might be a little bit under the boat there. But things should be improving here going forward here. So the first chart that we have here is price percentage difference from 1/3/2023, which was basically when the miners bottomed out there. You got IREN being up 3,861%. It is the best performer here so far this time around. Cypher, second best here, 2,109% up. And you got Hut 8 up being 825%. Cleanspark being up 618%. Bitfarms 551. Bitcoin being up 527. So we got those guys kind of outperforming from the bottoms there. Riot's only up 433%. Marathon 418. Core 394. And Hive 164%. So if we look at the bottom as far as where things have gone out or gone up to, based on my picks here, which has kind of started when I started picking these guys here. Well, actually, I started picking them back in 2022, early 2022. My picks were Cleanspark, Bitfarms at that time, right? And then additionally, we added on IREN as well at that point. So those are still at least the top part of the top 5 that are outperforming Bitcoin right now by a little bit and by greatly, right? Price percent difference from 1/2/2024, which was obviously last year, right? Where are we at now? IREN is up 593%, Core 394, Cypher 242, Hut 8, 200%. Bitcoin, 132%. So those guys have outperformed Bitcoin from then. BitDeer being only up 97%. Cleanspark up only 32%. Right, Cleanspark obviously had a nice run in 2024, getting to $24 during the first quarter, I think it was in 2024. Riot's only up 16%. Bitfarms is down 2%. Hive is down 7%. And Marathon's down 23%. Marathon is lagging for sure here from last year beginning. If we look at from the beginning of the second half of 2024 here, we still got IREN being up 273, Cypher up almost 200%, Hut 8 up almost 150%, Riot 80%, CORZ 72%, Bitcoin 66%, BitDeer 65%, Hive only 25%, Bitfarms 3%, Cleanspark down 19%, and Marathon down 21%. So the two miners from that point, if you recall, a lot of these guys were starting to switch over into HBCI. Cleanspark and Marathon were hesitant to join the crowd, I guess, and they definitely lagged behind because of that. When we look at from the beginning of the fourth quarter here, on these guys, IREN still up 509% from there. Cypher 294%, Hut 8 227, Riot 154, BitDeer 152. Bitcoin's only up about 72%. Cleanspark not too far behind at 67%. Core 44, Bitfarms 40, Hive 36, and Marathon only 17 on that one. And then from this year, beginning of this year, IREN still outperforming 350%, Cypher 192%, Hut 8 72. Along with Bitfarms, Riot pretty close to that as well at 72, Cleanspark at 52%, Hive at 31%, Core at 17%, Bitcoin's only up about 8% for the year right now as it is. Marathon's only up 2.5%, and BitDeer is actually underperforming here. So from the beginning of the year, these guys are at least outperforming Bitcoin, which is nice to see. This is kind of what we would expect to have happen in a bull run for Bitcoin, even though Bitcoin's not really in a bull run. It's only up 8% so far. Price difference from the Trump tariffs here, IREN, great run here, 587%, Cypher 433%, Bitfarms 224%, Hut 8 182%, Hive 151%, Riot 124%, Core 102%, BitDeer 84%, Cleanspark 80%, Marathon even 42%, and Bitcoin's only up 26% from the lows there. So all of these guys are outperforming here recently, at least, compared to Bitcoin. All of these guys have at least a double, if not a heck of a lot more here from where things have been playing out right now. So kind of interesting to take a look at this, see where things have obviously played out. But yeah, I'm happy with the decisions I've made over the past 2-3 years, getting into Cleanspark, Bitfarms, then IREN and Cypher this year as well. Those things have been doing really, really, really well. So happy with the results. Could they have been better? Sure, but you're going to be able to time everything perfectly. So I'm still happy with what I do have right now. Most of these guys are up 100%. On IREN, I'm up 300, like 23, 25%, something like that. That thing is up huge for me. So actually, is it that? No, I'm more up than that. Let me see. What am I up on that one as of today? Let me pull this up on my phone here really quick, just so I don't tell you guys wrong information here. Let me see here. All right. IREN, it is up 483%. There we go. 483%. It's the, which one is it? It's the BitQ. That's the one that I'm up 345%. So that's the one I was looking at earlier. That's why I had the number stuck in my head there. But yeah, hopefully a lot of you guys will become millionaires here by the time we're all done with this, which I think it's still a lot more growth to go in a lot of these companies here, especially as they build out their HPC, AI data centers, and even their own offerings there, and other companies that are getting into it as well, even though there might be, some people say they're late. I don't think they're late, but they're better late than never, I guess you could say. No, so I think all those things will still run for us here, unless we have, you know, recession coming up or something like that. We have a black swan event of whatever kind it might be, but we'll continue to run. Even if we have one of those events or something like that, we might come down, and then eventually I think we'll go back up here. I don't think we're at the dot-com bubble yet on a lot of these things here, right? They're generating revenue, which a lot of those companies back then did not have revenues. It was all hype. Well, a lot of it was hype, but these guys at least are generating revenue. So, well, we'll see. I'm still in it for the long run, though. Looking forward to a lot more gains here. Hopefully that plays out that way, right? You never know for sure until you actually go through it. All right, that's it. Let's get into Q&A here as always. And, oh, one other thing. What else did it? One other thing I forgot to mention here. I did add some more sites to our map here. I added, let's see here. Let me see if I probably should refresh this. Let's see here really quick. Okay. So I added to the sites here OpenAI, their Starbase facility here. If you zoom in on that thing is huge though. I think that's like 4.5 gigabytes there. Yeah, 4.5 gigabytes here. This thing is huge. This thing's massive. You can see this over here, obviously, in the map. But man, there's a lot of data centers being built out in Abilene right now. I mean, look at the parking lot here. The parking lot itself is huge. With all the cars, people working there. There's a lot of people working there. And they do have quite a bit of this stuff done. Obviously, this is not probably the most up-to-date imagery, I'm guessing, but it is from this year. So that's a huge amount of growth there that they still have left to build out. Then we got also Meta Richmond Parish facility, which I'm not sure where that one's located. Yeah, but that one's supposed to be scaled up to 5 gigawatts. We also have Meta New Albany, Ohio facility. That one is 1 gigawatt plus there. They're estimating about 500,000 GPUs for that facility. What else do we have here? XAI, they have 2 sites in Memphis. First site is 300 megawatts. The second site is supposed to be 1 gigawatt. And they're going to have approximately 200 or 780,000 GPUs between the 2 sites there, which is huge. And then we also have Amazon Anthropic, but that one's 2.2 gigawatts. We don't know how many GPUs, but hundreds of thousands of GPUs, obviously, on that one. And our last one is Microsoft Mount Pleasant, Wisconsin, which I was able to pull in as well. We don't know what the power is going to be on that one, but they're talking about hundreds of thousands of GPUs on that one as well. So we're getting more and more of these things added in here as we find them out and we put them in here, just so we have a pretty good understanding of where things are being placed right now. And a lot of the stuff is obviously placed here in Texas and Georgia, Tennessee, Mississippi, even all this stuff. We do have some stuff that's in North Dakota, South Dakota, quite a few things around Ohio, Pennsylvania, and up towards the Northeast as well. All right, so that's it. Let's get into Q&A here. We'll call it a day. Where are we at? This is where I want to go. Is it going to work for me? No, it's not working. But hopefully you guys can see me here. Let me see here really quick if I can fix this really quick. Output. I am really starting to hate the new update for macOS X. Not a fan of it right now. Too many stinking bugs in it. Let me see your output video number 2. There we go. Not happy with the overall theme either. I like the prior theme better. This rounded stuff here is driving me nuts. This glass theme. I mean, they had glass before. Why did they go back to glass? Okay, I'm just ranting here on it. All right, let's get into Q&A. As always, preface the questions with the question mark or Q. I would appreciate it here, and let's get into it here. So what we got going on here? Righty. Okay. Sorry, I'm trying to catch up with the comments. I replied to some of the comments earlier on when I got in here. That's the, okay, I talked about that one. All right, NGS. NG Jin asks, hi Seb, how is Bitfarms coming along? We don't have a lot of details for them, right? We're still waiting on some updates as far as where are they in the process of, building out data centers and things like that. But they do have potential, obviously, in Pennsylvania, so I think they'll be fine here. Let's see, will Bitfarms ever see similar gains like IREN? Possibly. I wouldn't say similar gains. I mean, this thing has gone up hugely. You also have to take into consideration that IREN has less shares outstanding than Bitfarms does. So, right, keep that in mind as well. So the price will go up a little bit less than what you have seen with IREN as well. Neil, thank you so much for the thumbs up. Baha, I don't know how to pronounce that, but I'm going with that. I don't care about technical losses, but IREN weekly chart looks still tempting now at 50. Okay, nice. Okay. NG says, sending hearts from Singapore. Greatly appreciated. Thank you. The detail bluff. Please help me understand why Mara is the same price as last year. Dilution is part of it. Companies with Bitcoin HODL are not getting appreciated, I guess you could say, is another part of it. Excessive management compensation is also part of it. Operations have not been great for them also. So I think you combine all those things, and I think that's the reason why. All right. Neo says, hello, Singapore. Love Canada. Oh, you guys are all lovey-dovey. That's awesome. No, I'm happy you guys are cordial and kind and everything else. That's the way I like to keep it. And I love seeing that. So keep it up. Guy, looks like strong resistance for Cleanspark at 15, rejected twice. Do you think Cleanspark can hit 25 with HPC in 2025? And when they can kick in HPC in price once they kick in HPC. All right, do I think they can get to 25 in 2025? It's possible. I mean, they're not too far away from it right now, right? It'd be basically a double. I think it's possible. But we need some more concrete news from them. And when they can kick in HPC and price, once they kick in, depending on how many megawatts they have available, what are they going to be doing? Are they going to be doing similar situation like IREN, where IREN is just building out their own, basically HPC AI cloud? Or will they go with a counterparty and do, co-location deals or something like that? That will also depend on that. Let's see, guy has 25 without HPC and Bitcoin going up. I think that would help. So if Bitcoin goes to 150,000, maybe closer to 200,000, we could possibly see that as well. All right, the detail bluff Mar has been the worst investment. Yeah, it's not performing that well. Could things turn around for it? Sure, possibly. Right, I'm not betting on it, but they could. Last cycle, Mara was the darling. It was the one that had the best name recognition in all the space for Bitcoin miners. It was the biggest and everything else. And this time around, it is just floundering, unfortunately, here. But, I mean, you can kind of see that in the data that we were tracking with their performances haven't been great in operations, high cost of mining as well. So that's kind of why I stayed away from it, right? And got into other miners that I saw were performing better and doing things better. But we'll see. Maybe it can rebound here. John Kurtz, Hive website states they surpassed 20 exahash today. News, yep, talked about that one. What do you think of MSTY? Don't know enough about it to comment. Is that like the 2x on MicroStrategy or something like that? Cleanspark is still lagging and way behind. It was around 18 last November. Can Cleanspark all-time high in 2025? Achieve all-time high in 2025? It's possible, but we need to obviously have some good press releases from them going forward regarding HPCI, maybe some other sites that are getting into things like that. All right, Dad's Market Stats. Good evening, Seb and YouTube. My open puts are out of the money after being deep in the money yesterday, hoping I get assigned more shares of Bitfarms and KULR. All right. Let's see. Guy says, so you talked about that one already? Yeah, just be patient. We'll get to your questions as always. Larry Zoo reacts. IREN totally psyched me out, holding and DCing my Hive and Cleanspark. Okay. Why did it psych you out? Why were you psyched out by IREN? That's the question there, I guess. Shout Mortgage. Hey, Sebastian, it's Jared535. Just a comment. The price targets from these analysts are 3 to 6 months behind. A year from now, IREN will have a 2 billion run rate on the way to 10 billion times 20, 200 billion market cap. Yeah, I mean, that's if they can do that, right? So if they can continue to increase their GPUs, continue to buy them, install them, and everything else, and they can multiply that revenue there. Because right now we're at, 500 million annual run rate right now. Once they get the 23,000 installed, double that. So let's say they get another 23,000, so they're at 46,000 GPUs. So now we're looking at a billion annual run rate for GPU cloud revenue. Then, yeah, I mean, we're looking up even higher and higher and higher as that progresses here. So I would agree there's definitely potential there. Guy, will you hold Cleanspark and trim when HPC news comes out, maybe in 6 months, or you will sell if BTC hits 150,000 this year? Thanks for all your hard work. So currently, I'm still planning on holding, right? So now that narrative changes. If Cleanspark is getting into HPCI, that possibly prolongs the length of time that I'm willing to hold on to it. And depending where Bitcoin goes, if Bitcoin goes into a extended cycle as well, then we're looking at holding on to these things maybe for a little bit longer than originally what we thought was going to be this year. Like October, November, we're going to be possibly selling all this stuff here, but we're seeing everything else play out differently. So it's a happy surprise, right? They're not pumping on Bitcoin, they're pumping on HPCI. So, I mean, I can honestly say we're kind of lucky to be in it, right? Being in with these miners that have a lot of megawatts potential for HPCI. We definitely stumbled upon it. I did not see that being the reason that these things would be pumping about 2 years ago, but it definitely has changed that way since last year. So happy to be on board in here and making some good gains here. All right, Godswill Odie, 5 stars for Seb, my man. Thank you so much. Senkath, what do you think of MicroStrategy? Yeah, I mean, MicroStrategy is a treasury company for Bitcoin there. it had a great run last year, got to $540, right? I told you guys at that point I thought it was overhyped, overextended, and sure enough, it came back down. It hasn't rebounded to that point yet, even though, I mean, Bitcoin's still pretty much at the same level, maybe a little bit higher from where it was, but they bought a heck of a lot more Bitcoin. But they have so many different vehicles that they buy Bitcoin with. They have STRC, I think, some other ones, tickers for that as well. And I think it just got diluted too much there. So I don't know how it's going to continue to do. It'll probably just follow Bitcoin, but yeah, it's underperforming for sure right now. Let's see, guys, let's please do some research on Ray Tech Holdings. Maybe a good time to get in for Ray. Okay, let me add that one to it. That's another one that I have to do here. I got a couple lists. I got Tick, I got LUMN. We'll add Ray in there as well. I got to do some research on those things. All right. Okay. Does Market Stats says I got knocked out of the top 10 in Minor Madness thanks to Soluna. Okay, yeah, that one was probably a dark horse that got in there. Let's see, Roger, our average must be similar. LOL, I'm up 444% on IREN. Okay, very nice, awesome. Yeah, I'm $8 something on the average there for it. Boss says Cleanspark is my biggest trash stock. Be patient with it. Things will definitely, get better for us. Dad's Market Stats says we are still early. Retail will come. I guess you're saying there. Roger, Cleanspark is my biggest position. It basically didn't do anything for a year. It's so sad. Again, right? You guys got to be patient with these things. The good thing is they are going in the right direction. It'd be one thing if they were just still stubbornly stuck in Bitcoin mining mode, and that's all we're going to be doing. But they see the light, and they see that their megawatts that they do have could have much bigger potential as far as appreciation for the share price, which obviously is good for the shareholders and for the company there. So they're going in the right direction. Just got to be patient. But I'll also remind you guys, last time Cleanspark was pumping $24 and the other guys were lagging behind. Everybody was complaining about the other guys. It's the worst investment I had. And then eventually, come a year and a half later, and here we are, some of the best investments that you had, possibly if you got into them. So patience, know what you own, and then, if you believe it's unfairly valued, hold on to it. If you feel it's overvalued, sell at that point. Paul Brown, you guys got balls of steel, not selling Soluna. I held for over a year and sold today with a couple $100 profit. Way too volatile player. Okay, these things are volatile. I'll give you that. Shinchi, hey Seb, what percent of your portfolio is IREN? Currently, I am over 80% loaded in IREN and backed. I'm holding it all for the short term, so help me, God. Okay, let me see. Let me take a look at mine right now. Out of my whole portfolio, which includes crypto as well, so Bitcoin, Ethereum, other things as well in there as well. It is right now, IREN is about 42% of my portfolio. In the past, it used to be that Bitcoin was my biggest holdings, but now it looks like IREN and even Cleanspark is gaining on Bitcoin as well. So that's kind of where I'm at right now. Okay, let's see, talked about that one. Sefrel, have any thoughts about the wealth concentration that goes into IREN compared to the other farmers in your list? Do you think we could see capital concentration into only one of these companies? No, not really. I mean, we've seen a lot of these guys already appreciate. Cypher has gone up nicely. Obviously, Core in the beginning had a nice run. Wolf also. So I don't think so. I think right now they're going into where possibly the best play could be, which was IREN, right? With them building out their own data centers and building out their own AI cloud for customers. So that's kind of where the money's going, because they're also going to be generating a heck of a lot more revenue. So money follows where revenue is going to be going and customers are going. So that's kind of where we're at right now. Now, if others also report that they are getting customers, like Cypher for a site or something like that, or Cleanspark for their own AI cloud, or if they're going to be doing a co-location, we don't know yet. Money will flow into that as well, because there's going to be more revenue that they're going to be generating as well. So I don't think it's being concentrated right now. You're seeing it's slight concentration in IREN right now because that is the best performer here. But I think it will broaden out more. All right, Dad's Market Stats says we are still early. Retail will come into a lot of cash after their tax refunds for the next 4 years. Interest rates going down as well will help. Telly P, do you think Cleanspark, Cypher, and Riot can do a 2x or maybe 3x by the end of this year? I think a 2x is possible. 3x might be pushing it unless they report like really good news on HPCI and Bitcoin goes up to 180,000 or something like that. Then maybe we could see. But for the most part, I would just try to get at least a 2x out of these guys here, which isn't that much time left. I mean, things can rocket if good news comes out. So I'm not saying it's out of the question there. Sunblaze, when do you plan to start selling IREN? Are you going to hold it through crypto winter next year? I don't think there's going to be a crypto winter next year. I'm not the only one now, it looks like. I've been saying this probably for about a year now. I think that this cycle is going to be different. So I don't think we're going to have a crypto winter with Bitcoin happening next year. I think Bitcoin is going to continue to go up slowly, but it will continue to go up. So I will continue. And right now, IREN is not really responding to Bitcoin. I mean, Bitcoin goes down, IREN does its thing anyways, right? So that one has detached from Bitcoin, it looks like. And so even if Bitcoin does go into a crypto bear market, yes, that will probably impact them because they're going to be obviously generating less revenue from Bitcoin mining, but they're going to be generating more revenue from HPCI as well. So it kind of maybe offsets it. So I'm willing to hold on to it to see where the growth continues to go. Like I said, if they provide news in a couple of weeks that they're doubling their GPU to 46,000 or something like that, I mean, that's just going to be more revenue for them going into second half of the year. And they'll pump the stock up even more, I would think. All right, Shinshi, Cleanspark might spark up soon because I saw Mike Alfred is having dinner with Cleanspark CEO Matthew. Yeah, I saw that tweet also. So, and he actually bought some Cleanspark shares. So we'll see what comes of that. Let's see, Paul Brown. Hi, Seb. What has been going on with Bitmine this week being down? Maybe it was too hot or too long. Bitmine, I don't know. I don't track Bitmine, so I'm not sure what's going on there with them. Boss says, stop asking what the price is going to do. No one knows, but we can do due diligence and figure out if it's over or undervalued. Correct, yeah. I mean, I try to give you guys my best guess estimate as far as where things could go, but nobody knows, right? And we could have a market crash here tomorrow and be down 20, 30% on these guys here. Question, IREN and Cypher are the only ones that are now full HPC AI. That is incorrect. They are still mining Bitcoin. IREN has 50 exahash, Cypher has 21 exahash, 22, something like that, or 23, I can't remember. But they're still mining Bitcoin. IREN is the revenue that they're generating from Bitcoin mining is fueling their HPCI expansion on that part because they're using the capital or the revenue from that to build out for HPCI. All right, Paul Brown, I'd be too nervous not selling IREN at that price if I had it. Can't believe holders have these types of nervous holdings still. You got to know what you hold, right? If you don't know or you don't understand what you're holding, then yeah, I mean, it gets pretty nerve-wracking. Also, I think a lot of I can't speak for you guys, but I can speak for at least for myself. The money that I have in these stocks, right? IREN, Cypher, Cleanspark, Bitfarms, that is not money that I need to survive, to pay bills, to make sure my kids and my wife are, set basically for their needs, daily needs and things like that. This is all for, retirement money, retirement goals, and possibly, later on, if this does play out, to have maybe a small portion of FU money, right, at that point. So this is kind of what we're playing out for right now. Tej, going back to bed. Good night. God bless. From the UK tomorrow, we will rock it. Only way is up. Awesome. Have a great night, Tej. Thanks for coming in. Sour Melon Gaming. Seb, IREN's going over 100. Hold, don't fold. I'm not planning on, selling anytime soon here. Right, we got the analysts improving the targets. I think they're just going to continue to, increase the number of GPUs they have there. They said in one of their presentation decks, investor decks, that they have they can install like 60,000 GPUs at their sites right now. So that's kind of where I'm, leaning towards. Is eventually I think they're going to get to like the 60,000 mark. And then when we start looking into like Sweetwater 1 and Sweetwater 2, that's going to be a heck of a lot more that they can install there. So, there's just growth potential upon growth potential. All right, let's see here. Shinshi, hey Seb, did any of the stocks we talked about get the OpenAI deal at Stargate? If not, then why isn't that concerning at least for some? None of them have gotten it yet, but it always takes time. So patience, right? OpenAI needs a lot of megawatts. So does Stargate, and so does Oracle. A lot of these guys have megawatts that's going to be available quickly, and they need that. So I think eventually we will get deals here. Whether it's going to be tomorrow, whether it's going to be in a week, in a month or two, they will come. It's just not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. The Paul says, yes, to be frank, I think it's to be frank, I'm mostly a day trader. Okay. Yeah, see, I couldn't stomach day trading. I would rather buy into something that I believe in and hold on to it for a number of years and, make nice profits on it that way. Day trading would be just way too stressful because you're always trying to, get gains. If you have a bad day, it's rough. That's not for me. Boss says, hi from Switzerland. It's 5 a.m. here. I'm cooked. Okay, well, I hope you're not working tomorrow, or at least you worked during the night or something like that. But thanks for coming in. Yep, I think we're in melt up already. BTC miners leading Bitcoin. Melt up can go up much higher from where we are. Quasi, hey, so thanks for the great insight. When would be a good time to trim IREN Cypher and buy more stocks of Cleanspark for greater returns? Any updates with there's no updates on their HPCI deals or anything like that for them. That is going to be dependent on you, right? I can't tell you when to trim, when to get out of something, get into something. I can only provide you guys with the data that I have on these things, and then you got to make the determination as far as when to get in. You guys know I have done this in the past. I've trimmed Cleanspark in the past to buy IREN. I've trimmed Cleanspark and IREN to buy Cypher. I've trimmed Bitfarms to buy more Cleanspark and IREN as well. So I do that from time to time, right? And that's going to be up to you as far as when to do that. All right, let's see. S's my count is up 80,000 a day in 1 day. LOL, insane. That's awesome. Congrats. Let's see. Ryan says, Ryan, hey, thanks for coming in. If IREN goes to $100 a share, I will poop a brick. Okay. Hopefully it's going to be a soft brick for you. All right. Quasi, I heard Bitfarms was looking at getting a deal with Oracle or OpenAI. Any updates about that? Nothing on that one yet, no. All right, Victor C. Megawatt wise, where does Bitfarms stand compared to other HPCI miners? When do Bitfarms usually when does announce updates? Well, they announce updates when they actually have updates. They don't do the monthly updates anymore for us. So when something of interest happens, they will update at that point. But I think they have like we've heard Ben say that I think they might have 2 sites that might have potential for like a gigawatt apiece in Pennsylvania or somewhere around there. So that would get them to about 2 gigawatts, and what they have right now, that would get them to what, 2.5, 2.6 gigawatts potentially. So it's still less than what IREN has and what Cypher has overall. But that's if they can get those interconnects and everything else, which those are all in the works, and those could be not until late 2026, 2027, and maybe into 2028. We don't know for sure. So they do have potential. They do have nice sites in Pennsylvania that are in great metropolitan areas, and we'll see what kind of deals they can get. They do also have the $300 million loan facility there from, I think it's McGuire, to help them build out the HPCI business as well. All right, talked about that one. Lucian Pop, Mara has a ton of megawatts. What if it sells power plants for AI? What if it sells power plants? They don't make power plants. They bought a wind farm, right, which is 100-some megawatts, I believe. But that's intermittent power. You need consistent power for HPCI. So I'm not sure that would work out. Sadie, thanks so much for the likes as always. Diesel says, you are a beauty. Are you talking to Sadie or are you talking to me? All right, Shinshi, hey Seb, one of the biggest mistakes I made this cycle is parking my money in Mara and MicroStrategy between late 2024 and summer 2025. It cost me so much, only if I had caught IREN earlier, but no sweating. Yeah, a lot of people got into Mara and MicroStrategy as well. So luckily, I never got into it. So, I mean, I feel for you in that regard, that you weren't able to get into it. But I've been talking about it for a long time. Others have been talking about it for a long time. Mike's been talking about it for a long time as well. And, we've been tracking IREN since basically, I think it was 2022. Because they went public in 2021, I believe. So, yeah, we started tracking them in 2022, started talking about them. And we've been talking about them ever since then. So I got into them last year after they announced, right, that they're getting from 10 exahash to, I think, 30 exahash. And they said they're getting like 40 and then 50 exahash. I'm like, okay, time to jump in. The stock was rocketing at that point because it was like at $4 and it went up to like $8 something. So I started buying into it at that point as fast as I could because I saw the progression of what's going to be happening here for them if they are able to reach those things. And then obviously we had last year HBCI also come into play. So that all has played out tremendously well for a lot of people. Not for everybody, but for a lot of people for sure. All right. Gary asked, any prediction on who will be the first miner to 10x from April lows? I guess right now it would be probably IREN. Well, yeah, I think IREN might be. They would, if they go to $100 from here, that would be basically a 10x from the lows, I think. All right. Ryan says, my IREN options will have gone from a $2,500 premium purchase price to over $150,000 of value after execution cost. That is awesome. That is really, really awesome. Happy for you there. But Cypher and Oracle may have a deal based on this, and the recent run up of big miners makes this Cypher the most reasonable now to enter new positions, maybe to get into Cypher. I mean, it's had a huge run up here. Right, if they get multiple deals, yeah, I could see them going up even higher from here. Single deal will run them up as well. I mean, that is your call on it. I mean, ideally, if you could have gotten in at much lower prices, that would have been a lot better right now. But I think there's still at least some upside here. Quite a bit of upside, actually. All right. S says Bitfarms is going to 10x from here. Getting to $10, I think, from the bottom of where it was. Actually, they were at like 60, 70 cents at the bottom there. So I think for them, a 10x would be like $6, $7 by the end of the year. That would be a 10x. Okay, question, updated price target on Hive. That will be coming up here when we do the updates for the miners next week or the following week. On those guys, I'll do an updated price based on what they were generated in Bitcoin revenue for this month, September. Let's see. Sarmelon asks, do you see a bean runway still with Cleanspark and IREN? Ben runway still? Do I still big runway still with Cleanspark and IREN? I do. I mean, I think IREN can definitely do at least a 2x from where it's at right now, given just on the momentum it has, and I think they're going to play into the momentum here. At least I would if I was them, right? As long as they have the interest from customers and they're getting more demand than they have supply right now, they could go out and say, you know, they're buying more GPUs. They could do financing on those, whether it's leases or things like that. And, you know, keep that momentum going where they're just growing and growing and growing, and that's going to pump the stock up here. So hopefully they do that, but that's kind of what I'm banking on right now, at least. Is and for Cleanspark it's just going to be a well-formulated story about their HPCI potential. We need something like that. All right, yeah. That's so weird to say. I'm just going to say ba. Question, which big miners are now full HPCI or considering to do? In the interim right now, a lot of these guys still have Bitcoin mining. Now, they have mentioned that they would be willing to get rid of some megawatts for Bitcoin mining and replace it with HPCI. So we have that, but everybody so far right now is just still all Bitcoin mining and then HPCI on top of it. Des Market Stats, the only reason to sell shares is if you need cash or you can't make money from them anymore. Always sell options on volatile stocks for consistent income. There you go. There's another way to do it. All right. Your 5 biggest holdings. My 5 biggest holdings? I mean, I only hold right now Cleanspark, IREN, Cypher, and Bitfarms. Those are the 4 that I hold right now. And then I also have, like, my profit sharing plan. I have WGMI and BitQ. And that's it. And then I got obviously some crypto. All right. Jose, hey Goat, did you see Mike's tweet saying he was going to have dinner? Yes, saw that. We talked about that a little bit earlier, Matt Schultz, and that he also talked about that. Thanks for coming in. Jose Alex, February 35 calls on Cleanspark. Am I crazy? February? I mean, it could happen depending on what they provide on HPCI details. Right, we've seen obviously a lot of these guys running up here because of potential, so I wouldn't rule that out. The machine, what do you think is the upside for Bitfarms between now and the end of the year? Bitfarms is what, $2 something right now. I think it could go to probably like $3.50, $4, maybe something like that. in the interim, somewhere around there, I would think. All right, Freddie, do you think Hive, Cleanspark, and Bitfarms can all double from here? Are they the most undervalued miners right now? They are, in my opinion, they are like some of the most undervalued miners right now. So can they still double? Yeah, I think Hive obviously has great growth going forward. Still 5 more exahash being installed there. That will help them out. Bitcoin going up will help. They obviously are in HPCI data center space as well. They're doing that. Bitfarms, we obviously need some good news from them, some good press release. I think that will pump the stock up even higher here, but they're definitely getting revalued on things as well. And then if one of these other guys gets a deal, that will revaluate all these guys here even more. So I think it's possible here. All right, Neville, can you speak to the log? I can't ever pronounce that word. The lifespan basically of the GPUs IREN has bought. An interesting point has been made about how the infrastructure and operating costs brings the total way past the 672 million spent. Depending where they're putting the GPUs in, but the lifespan of the GPUs will last you, a good 5 years if well maintained in a nice environment, things like that. They can last you a nice long time there. So that's not really a concern for the most part on it. But the cost to build out a data center, yes, those are very, very high, depending on, again, the tier that you're building out to, right? Is it tier 1, is it tier 2, or is it tier 3? Which I don't think IREN is building out to tier 3. I think they're building out to like tier 1, tier 2 at most at that point. So that brings down the costs as well on that part of it. But that's all I know right now. All right, Shinshi, I gave much thought about the wealth concentration and decided I had to be concentrated because I joined the IREN train a bit late as I DCA'd at 15 and 19. And okay, I will hold to later. Okay, so at least you got in still at 15. That's still actually a pretty good price considering where we are right now. 15 and 19, that's actually pretty good. But could we check the undervalued of the 5 biggest miners? Are they over or undervalued right now? Yeah, we can pull that up. I can show you guys that. Let's see here. All right, so the 5 biggest miners. So we got Cleanspark. We'll go by. Do you want to go by exahash or market caps? Because we'll just go this way. So let's see here. Where do I want to go? I'm gonna go here. All right, so here's Cleanspark. Cleanspark right now is at 14.45. I have him between 24.20 and 36.31, right? That's kind of where I think analysts have him around 26 and 15, right? For the high and the low. Next would be probably IREN. IREN right now, I have him between 52.29 and 78.44. Analysts have him between, well, the analysts, this hasn't been updated yet, but the analysts are obviously getting them to like 78, 80, and $82 for the high side of things. So I think there's definitely more upside for that one. Next would be, who's the next one? Marathon, right? Mara's at 50 exahash here. I think they should be somewhere between 19.45 and 29.18. They're at 17.64 right now. Analysts have them between $34 and $18 on that one. Who's the next biggest one here after that? Riot. Right, I have between $13.36 and $20 roughly. That's kind of within where the analysts have them at, 24 and 11 as well. If they get a deal for HPCI, they could obviously go up higher, and that's kind of maybe why the stock is where it's at right now. So it's kind of fairly valued, in my opinion, on that one. And then, the 5th one could be, the ones that at least that I have here. Let's look at BitDeer here really quick. BitDeer, I have between 1974 and 2960. They're at 1752, so they're still a little bit undervalued there. Let's take a look at Hive as well. Hive I have between 882 and 1322. They're at 405, so still at least a 2x on that one also. And analysts have that one at $11 on the high side and $5 on the low side, right? So I'm kind of wondering if some of the analysts are using my numbers here because they're always pretty close to where I'm at on things. But yeah, I think that's it, right? CORZ Scientific is getting bought out. Who else did we leave behind? Right, we talked about that one. We talked about IREN. Cypher, we talked about that one. Cypher is way over where I have them right now based on the revenues that they're generating from Bitcoin mining. So it's all about HPCI potential on the sites that they have at this point for them. So that one looks definitely, to me at least, if you're looking at Bitcoin, it's overvalued on that. But the megawatts that they have in the HPCI potential, that's what's driving the price stock on that one. Kango is all basically, for the most part, asset light. They're at 439, and I have them between 621 and 1034. So they're still a little bit undervalued, but not that much. Okay, that's basically all of them right there. Let's go back here. All right. All right. Bias is Cypher using BTC money for HPC. They're using that to fund operations and obviously to maybe build out sites as well. So yes, they are using that. All right. SH says, I believe we are about to start seeing some miners consolidation in HPCI business. You think there's going to be some buyouts? There might be. I don't think so. The valuations on some of these guys have gone up quite a bit here. So I don't think that might be the plan there. Gary asks, do you think IREN will start to move if they get a co-location deal? Well, if they get a co-location deal, depending on the deal, yeah, I think they would move on that as well. But I think a lot of the investors, correct me if I'm wrong here, Gary, but I think a lot of people are kind of happy with the fact that they are doing it themselves, right? Becoming a neo cloud or even a hyperscaler, a little mini hyperscaler at this point. So if they can go that route, I think there's more revenue than being, a co-location, getting a co-location deal. And you can let me know what you think. All right. SH, is there any issues between Mike Alfred and Bitfarms management? He attacked on X, then deleted this message after followers proved him wrong. There's been some beef between him and Ben, I think. I think when Ben became CEO, Mike took a little jab at him at that point, I think. I don't know. I'm not sure why. I know Mike was not happy with the board at Bitfarms, that the board was dysfunctional there, which he was right on. They got a new board and everything else seems to be going in the right direction there. So I think they're doing all the right things. I don't know why I don't know why there's hostilities there. I'm not sure why. All right. NHUT, are you going to trim part of your IREN shares right now or wait for more? I am waiting for more upside. Right, I could have trimmed. I'm up nicely, right, over 400% on it. I could have trimmed right now. I could have trimmed earlier, but doing the research that I've done is just, I think there's more upside here, right? Especially if they can grow their GPUs that they have from 23,000 to like 46,000 or 50,000. There's going to be more revenue coming from that as well. And if, but that's a risk. It's a risk I'm willing to take for maybe some more upside there. Quasi, since Cleanspark has more Bitcoin holdings, do you expect it to have a better run when BTC has another pump, or would you expect better returns from somewhere else? Well, at least this time around, we have not really seen the companies that hodl, like Mora, Cleanspark, even Riot to a certain extent, not do that well even when Bitcoin's running. So I don't think they're getting the premium on the Bitcoin that they do hold here. So the only good thing with Bitcoin running is that their HODL, which is now valued about 1.5, 1.6 billion or something like that, will possibly double, right? So then you're looking at approximately 3.2 billion that they could possibly use for HPCI expansion if they wanted to, right? So they have that cash. They're not beholden to diluting shareholders at that point. They can use that Bitcoin there to possibly grow that other part of the business. So that could be a really good thing there, which maybe people are not also looking into. All right, Neil, Soluna Holdings Inc. is going to do very well. I hope it does. I hope they do great. I have some concerns with them. They're obviously way smaller than a lot of these guys here. I mean, their market cap now is going to be what, probably 80, 90 million market cap? Million, not billion, million, right? 90. I mean, a lot of these guys are at 750 million for Hive. You got obviously IREN being now at 12, probably 13 billion or something like that. So they're very small, but there's a reason why they're very small. So I would be just a little worried on that one. If you get good profits on it, to take them. But yeah, and I wish they'd do great for you and for others that are invested in them. All right, Pravin, how do deploy money if you have some now? Divide it 50-50 between IREN and Cypher, or go in all in one? Or do you suggest any other miner? I think personally, right? Financial advice is always. Personally, I think there's still a lot of upside potential for IREN. Cypher, I think, is kind of highly valued as it is right now without having a deal for HPCI, but that could change if they get a deal. Other miners, I do think there are other miners that are undervalued. Cleanspark is one of them, definitely for sure. The next one would be Hive, along with Bitfarms there, right? Those guys. So it's completely up to us how you see things playing out. Right? Could one of these guys that is more undervalued, Cleanspark, Bitfarms, and Hive, could they come out with some good news and do really well? They could, right? So It could also be that IREN comes out with great news. They're increasing their GPUs to 60,000, and then the stock runs to $150, $200, whatever it might be. So look at it that way as far as where is the upside potential for all these guys here, and where could you see possibly more upside potential. And now that's kind of the way I would look at it, at least. I would put in a little bit possibly into IREN, Cypher, just for a little bit. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. That's your call on that one. But this is why I got into these guys so early on, is because I didn't know where the bottoms were going to be, and I didn't know where the tops were going to be on these things. So I just dollar cost averaged down into them. And the original thesis was around Bitcoin, but that thesis has changed to megawatts and GPUs. And some Bitcoin as well, because Bitcoin right now is helping a lot of these guys build out their HPC ambitions. All right, BTC Miner 1, IREN and 9X right now from April lows. Remember, is it 9X right now from April lows? So that one would probably be the one that gets it. Let me see, where's my comparison chart? Stock performance here from April lows, from Trump tariffs. I have them up right now, 587% from that time frame. But I'm using, let's see, 4/2/2025. So maybe they dipped a little bit lower below that a couple of days or something like that after that. But right now I'm at 587, roughly there for all these guys. Okay, let's go back here. Let's see, JD. If BTC were to go below 100,000, would you consider the bull cycle as over? If not, what price would you consider it over? And would you start to exit some positions on miners? No, I would not consider it being below. Let's see here. So historically, we have seen Bitcoin go down 25, 30, 35%, even in a bull run, right? So that would not still freak me out. It would freak me out. Let's see here. Let's take a look at Bitcoin here really quick. Let me pull it up on my chart here. Go over here. All right, so here's a chart of Bitcoin right now, right? Right, yeah, Bitcoin, okay. So from the top here, we are only down right now. Let's see, we are down right now. At least we're down 10% from the top, right? We were down 13%. So going down 30% would bring us down to roughly like 90-some thousand, 89, 85,000, I think. Let's see if I can zoom this out. So going down 30% from where we were, roughly, that would get us to 85,000, right? And the reason I say 30% here is because we already have seen this play out. Let's go on maybe on a weekly here. So we saw this play out here when Bitcoin reached 72,000 or 74,000 in March of 2024. And then if you look at it as far as when it bottomed out here, let's see, let's go from here. And it bottomed out right around there, which was on Monday, the 5th of August in 2024, right? We were down 32% at that point, right? So we went down to 49,000. So there's one dip of 30%. Next dip that we had here was back in the beginning of this year, January 2025. We got up to 109,000, right? And then we went down all the way to 74,000. That was 32% drop in price. So we have seen that already. So this would not be out of the ordinary, right? And that took us, let's see, from the top there, took us 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 weeks, basically 3 months of drawdowns to get down to that low and finally bounce up from there. So if we got to the top here in Bitcoin, let's just say 124,000 back in August, I mean, we still would have a couple of weeks to go before we drop down to whatever it was, 85,000, being 30% drawdowns. Because if you look at it here, right, you had quite a few weeks where we were going in the green. Let me see if I can zoom this in for you guys. There you go. And then we had weeks where we were down. So in the bull run here, we were down at one point on that one from the top to the bottom here. That was 30%. We did the same thing over here, was 30%. This was in 2021. If you go further out to 2017, we had the same thing where we had drawdowns of 30-some percent. See, from the top to the bottom, this was 42% drop back in 2017. You had a drop there of 20%, but that was probably even more at that point. So you do have these drawdowns on Bitcoin. So that would not freak me out, at least not yet. If we go below that, if we go to like 35, 40%, then I would start freaking out. I'd be panicking, running for the hills at that point, because that would possibly represent that we have a continuation of the 4-year cycle, which I'm currently thinking that we are not going to have that. We're going to have an extended cycle based on everything else that's happening here. So we shall see. I could be wrong on that. I'm just only going by what I can see right now. A couple of things that are telling me that is Bitcoin getting to a new all-time high before the halving event. That's never happened before. These longer duration extended drawdowns on Bitcoin, that's never happened before. price action, percentage gains, all that stuff is just more extended out than it has ever been. All right, let's go back here to Q&A. All right, Sarasota, can there be a stock split on any of these miners? Why would they do a stock split right now? It doesn't make any sense for them to do it. So I don't think there's going to happen, at least not yet. I think if IREN gets like a couple $100, they might do a stock split just to make it more affordable for people to get into it, like we've seen other companies do, but why? All right, let's see. BTC Miner says IREN is 9x right now from April lows of 530. Okay, so obviously my price is a little higher, or maybe they didn't get the low right at that date there. Let's see here. Geez, Corby, I sold Bitfarms. It has been a bumpy 2 years. This run was a real blessing to leave in nice profits. Okay, great. No need to be much more greedy. They won't have data center revenues before a couple more years. That's a possibility there, right? We don't know. They do have a Washington site that they could possibly monetize that they've talked about. And some of the sites they already have now, they have some megawatts there that could also monetize. So I say never say never, but it's great that you were able to get profits, and that's awesome. All right, now Pedro Pascal, I think we need to take a deeper look at Riot, maybe. Well, what would you like to know on Riot? Riot has megawatts, yes. They have 2 sites, Rockdale and Corsicana. Corsicana, I think, is 1 gigawatt, if I'm not mistaken. Rockdale is 700 some megawatts, I believe. So they do have those. At Perfecte, Dad's Market Stats, pennies in front of the steamroller, okay? Okay, let's see. Dad's Market Stats says if Bitfarms gets a 10 billion contract, they will 10x. I can definitely see that happening. Shinshi, can someone please tell me what the benefit of buying options if you have to pay a special fee as opposed to regular stocks? Why and how are so many people making so much money? The options, they like multiply or something like that. There's a multiple on those things, I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong. I'm not in options, so correct me if I'm wrong there, but I believe that's the way it works. Okay. All right. Gary, question. Remember IREN are leasing chips with option to buy them, so could sell early if chips lose value faster like hoppers have. Yeah, I like the lease option. I do like that. Shinshi, question. Honestly, Seb, I thank God for this community. Watching daily is one of the best commitments I have ever made. Thank you, Seb. Oh, that's very sweet of you. Thank you so much for saying that. Right, it hasn't been an easy ride. We'll give you guys that, and those of you that have endured the drawdowns on these things, congratulations. This is what we have been waiting for. So, really appreciate you guys as always. Inde, thank you, sir. You're very welcome. Let's see. I made huge. That's great to hear. Happy to hear that. That's awesome. Right. I want all you guys to become millionaires and be financially independent. Right. Just like I'm trying to do the same thing. A perfect day. Question, crystal ball guess, but what do you think will be all-time high for BTC by the end of the year? By the end of the year, I mean, for the quarter here, my estimate was 134,000, I think. Well, we're kind of far away from that. We're 22,000 away from it right now. I would say if we do have a pretty good fourth quarter, though, which historically we have had, then we could possibly get to like 150, 175,000, somewhere between there. I don't know exactly where. All right. Gary says, IREN low was 513, so I think 10x is 5130 if my math is correct, but some might call that 9x. Okay. Yeah, I mean, we're splitting hairs here, I think. Regardless, IREN has been the best performer here nonetheless. All right. Victor, once Bitfarms gets a deal with, will they get profits right away? No, unless, depending on how they structure the deal, right? So if the deal is structured in the sense that they will get some money up front to help build out the infrastructure needed there, then they'll get something for that, right? But it's not like they're going to get profits right away. Profits will be once GPUs are in, they're installed and running, right? That's the time that they'll get profits. All right, Ryan, question. How should we deal with public FOMO and the craziness that is about to unfold? Do we try to correct people when they say Bitcoin is going to 1 million this cycle, or just unload our bags on them? I mean, well, I would say don't listen to people that say it's going to 1 million this year, or even this cycle. This cycle, I would say $1 million for Bitcoin probably within the next 5 to 10 years. I think that's doable, but not like within the next couple of years. Yeah. Other than that, I wouldn't listen to them, right? I mean, listen to them, see what they have to say, but obviously have your own opinion on it, and just ignore them if you don't agree with it. Sorry, Melon, Sebura G, thank you so much. Does make sense as left and right, I guess. Or let's see. I thought it would be March 2026, but looks like we might go to 150,000, 180,000 BTC in November. That could be the top. Okay. Yeah, I mean, we'll see. If it's a repeat of the cycle like we had before, then yeah, we could be at the top then. I'm still, like I said, I'm still thinking it's going to be an extended cycle, but I could be wrong. How to deal with FOMO? Sell. Yeah. MDMD, what is your take on the broader markets? There are some bear flags this week. If markets pull back end of September, and Ethereum and BTC will follow and drop end of Q3, could set up for a nice leg up in Q4. Yeah, I'm kind of thinking the same thing based on just the price action that we're seeing right now, not only the markets, but in Bitcoin and Ethereum as well. We could be seeing where, you know, the powers that be are trying to set us up lower for the end of the quarter here, and then they can run it back up in Q4 here. So we've seen that in Bitcoin. Let me see if I can pull up the chart. Where is it at? Not that one. This one. Here we go. So if we look at this over here, if we go here, and we look at Bitcoin quarterly, right? Q3 historically has not been a great quarter for Bitcoin. Q4, on the other hand, has been really, really good for us. So, you know, fingers crossed, and, you know, I'll be fine if we're flat for Q3 or up a little bit, or even if we're down just a couple percentage points. I'll be fine with that. But obviously the miners wouldn't be happy about it, because the ones that have a HODL position would take a hit on the HODL that they have there. So hopefully Bitcoin stays up a little bit for Q3. But Q4 historically has been a much better quarter for us going forward, or in the past at least. So we'll see. No guarantees though. All right. Romeo, Cleanspark to the moon. We'll definitely love to see that as well. Victor C, does that apply that for Cypher as well? Victor C, which one is that? Not sure which one you're talking about there as far as what applies to them. As far as the low and the 10x there, I'm not sure. Technically, Bitcoin cycles are over. We could hit 1 million in 10 years, and that will still be this cycle. Yeah, that's true. If you look at it that way, yeah. The cycles are over. Let's see, that's market stats. Pullback was due to Jerome Powell's speech this week, where he said stocks are fairly highly valued and October rates cut not certain. I thought he said it was certain. I've heard that, at least on X, they were saying that he was saying that's certain. But right now it's being priced in like it is certain here, at least on the Fed Watch tool. If you look at that one, right now it's being priced in at 91.9%. So that's kind of being priced in, I think. But we'll see. We'll see where things come in for September and October and all that stuff. Okay, we're going on over an hour again. Jeez. These are fun. Love doing these. All right. I think I've come to all you guys' questions here. I did. Let's see. All right. Dad's Market Stats says that's why the dip got bought. Yeah. All right. We'll call it a day. We'll see what happens tomorrow. Never a dull moment in this space for sure. So, as always, greatly appreciate you guys coming in here, spending the time here with me, asking the questions. And Victor's got a last question here. I mean that if Cypher gets a deal, they won't get revenues right away. Correct. Yeah, it'll be the same thing for them. Yeah. So, Shinshi, good night as well. Thank you, everyone. Love you all. I will see you guys tomorrow. What's tomorrow? Tomorrow's Thursday. Okay. So, we're already halfway through the week. Wow. All right. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Have a great night. Until then.